Hello. Today, let's look at the for loop. What is it? Why do we use it? And how do we use it? Let's start with an analogy. When a child has a messy room, oftentimes a parent will ask her to clean it up. When children are very young, parents often tell a child to put away a certain or specific number of toys. With small children, it's best to tell them, go to your room and put away 5 toys. This is a manageable task for a young child. So what does the child do? When she starts, she has put away 0 toys. Is 0 less than 5? Yes. She picks up 1 toy and puts it away, and she adds 1 to her count of toys she has put away. The count was 0. She just put 1 away. Now her count is 1. She repeats these steps until her count is 5, and then she stops. So we went through the steps 1 time, and our count was 1. Let's go through it a second time. Is 1 less than 5? Yes. She puts a toy away. She adds 1 to her count. Now it's 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes. She picks up a toy and puts it away. She adds 1 to her count. Now her count is 3. Is 3 less than 5? Yes. She puts away a toy. She adds 1 to her count. Now she has put away 4 toys. Is 4 less than 5? Yes. She picks up a toy and puts it away. She adds 1 to her count. Now she has put away 5 toys. Is 5 less than 5? No. So that is when the child can stop putting toys away. Or, using the language of programming, this is when we can exit the loop. So a loop in JavaScript can produce this output. This is exactly what we just did with the for loop. How is a for loop different from a while or do-while loop? Well, if you look at the analogy, this analogy is different from the other analogies in one important way. The parent tells the kid to pick up 5 toys and put them away. So we know before we even start, we know the loop will run exactly 5 times. A for loop is used when you know exactly how many times you want the loop to run. Here's a real-life example that would use a for loop. Create a computer game that starts by giving each player 5 cards. So each card will have a value between 1 and 10. The picture here shows 5 cards with the value 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But our game could give them any card with a value between 1 and 10. So what does the game do? When it starts, it has given the user 0 cards. Is 0 less than 5? Yes. The computer gives the user 1 card with a random value. We don't know the value, but it's 1 card. The computer adds 1 to the number of cards given, so now the count is 1. And the computer repeats these steps until the count is 5, and then it stops. This should look familiar. It's just like the steps we talked about with the girl picking up toys off the floor of her room. Let's look at that game. My first card is an 8. My second card is a 7. My third card is a 4. My fourth card is a 3. And my fifth card is a 4. You can see that the game gave me 5 cards. Let's play it again. My first card, my second card, my third card, my fourth card, my fifth card. Again, the game gave me 5 cards because this is written with a for loop that specifies that the loop will run 5 times. Here are 3 more examples of output from my game, the script that uses a for loop. You can see that the user gets 5 cards, and each card is a random number between 1 and 10. But the thing that makes this a good game for using a for loop is that every time they play the game, the user will always get 5 cards. So we know we want the loop to run exactly 5 times. This is the loop that creates that output, and we'll look at it more closely in a little while. But you can see that it's called a for loop. This red arrow is pointing to code. These methods generate a random number between 1 and 10, and you have not learned this code yet. Okay, this type of loop is called a for loop, and it goes between the script tags. How do you write a for loop? You can declare the count variable outside the loop without giving it an assignment operator or a value, and then you can use it inside the loop like this. Or you can do both of these steps at the same time and declare the variable inside the loop, and at the same time assign the value 0 to that variable. This is the syntax for a for loop. You start with the keyword for, and after your condition, you use a curly brace, and at the end of the block of code, you use another curly brace. Now this has 3 different parts and will be explained on the next slide. This first part, var count assignment operator 0, this is the starting count. When you run the loop the first time, the count is 0. The second part, count is less than 5. This is the rule that tells the computer if it should run the loop. It's called the continuation condition. As long as this is true, we continue to run the loop. This third part adds 1 to the count every time you run the loop. It's here at the top instead of inside the loop, but it functions the same way. It works the same way. You can see the parentheses here and here, and then between the 3 parts, you use a semicolon, and you don't need to type any spaces before or after the semicolon. That's the end of the lesson on using a for loop.